Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Raphael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4,
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. David, Leta, he's my co-host today. Sifu Raphael is away, so I'm excited to be co-hosting with him again. We were here 2 weeks ago. And we have our lovely guests, Yosi and Andrea, joining us for our topic, Own Your Voice, Lead with Purpose. So we are going to dive right in. Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What does own your voice mean to you? Would like to kickstart us.
You know, Nikki, I'm happy to throw out the first thought, and we'll go from there. So, when I think about owning my voice, it is recognizing that it's a powerful tool. And as Uncle Ben said to Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. And therefore, how I speak, the words that I choose, the tone, is really my responsibility. And my ownership is to own that the things that come out of my mouth are mine. And if I accidentally did harm, to try and address it, and in general to use it to bring good and light and hope.
Yeah, that's the intention behind it.
That's the intention.
That's the intent.
The paved road, but the intention.
Yeah, absolutely. What does that mean to you, Andrea, owning your voice?
Owning your voice to me is tapping into your heart and your soul, speaking to the voiceless, allowing your voice to accentuate what is going on in your heart and your mind. Sometimes we don't have those aligned together, and it may be difficult. We follow the herd and what is hurtful, or we follow our heart. And when we own our own voice and lead with purpose, we're acting not only authentically, but with integrity. And that's what I truly believe, that owning your voice is stepping into yourself and speaking from the heart, from the experience, to empower and enlighten others. Back to you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. David, I see you're thinking.
Well, I may be in the wrong group. These are really people who can articulate what they're talking about. So I'm dumbing it down for me. It's just I noticed that when growing up, I came into my own. Right, I was more of a listener. I was, I always say that I was second string soccer. Just the guy who, listened a lot and had my group of things. But I think it takes practice to own your voice. So as I'm getting older, I'm losing my filter. And so sometimes, Yoshi, you're right. Sometimes we say stuff and we go, I really didn't mean that. It came out of my mouth, but I didn't mean that. Or, oh my God, I'm a genius. I can't believe I got this. Inspiration has happened. So I really like what the both of you have said so far. I'm really interested in Nikki's opinion on this always, but sometimes coming into our own is a helpful thing.
It is. It is a helpful thing. And it took me about almost 40 years to come into my own. One of my first memories around speaking up and using your voice was in first grade when I told on a friend something that she said, and she got in a lot of trouble. And her dad told my mother that your daughter needs to wear a muzzle.
Oh.
And you know how we assign a meaning to things that happen in life?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the meaning I assigned is that it's not safe to speak up, and speaking up causes problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I minimized and shrunk for a really long time. And I forgot about that, and I remembered, and then it went unconscious again. And it took a really long time. So now I own it, and I just, of course, like Yosi said, there's a positive intent with everything that you say. And Andrea said, you want to be in integrity, and you can't be responsible for how things land for other people and the meanings that they assign to things. So that brings me to my next question. Many people, like myself, do hold back, whether it's fear of being misunderstood, rejected too much, or you're going to get in trouble like I did. So what's one internal belief that you had to shift in order to be more authentic and to speak your truth? Who wants to take that one away?
I think the internal shift that you have to make with the intention, I believe, is the limiting belief that everybody has the same experience as you. Everybody can understand where you're coming from. Everybody has the same definition and perspective and, perception, as if the message is coming out of your mouth. You may perceive it as a message of this path, where somebody else who has something similar to you, Nikki, that I have, is abuse and bullying, that it may be condescending or being reprimanded, when in the initial intent, it would be that of empowerment and enlightenment. So again, it's the false limiting belief. Everything that comes out of my mouth, everybody's going to understand. It's relatable. People can resonate with it. Pardon me. But when in reality, we're all at different stages, at different ages in the chapters of our book of life. So we just have to be mindful of that one's interpretation can be another's perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
It's so interesting. I love these calls, and I love having these types of conversations where you hear points of view that I wouldn't necessarily have come up with on my own. For me, I never really thought I had a lot of value in what I said. So many limiting beliefs, Nikki. Mm-hmm. And when I learned neuroscience therapy, I understood what I think Andrea is saying, which is everybody has subjective perception. Mm-hmm. And therefore, everything that I am saying now ever is being filtered by every single listener in some way. I know the filtering is happening. I just don't know how it's being filtered. What is being filtered in? What is being filtered out? What is being shifted? And what this has really changed for me is I have to find a real reason to open my mouth at all, because I know I'm going to be misunderstood. So if I'm going to talk at all, try and make it meaningful, helpful. As you say, I cannot own how other people are hearing and processing it. And I just know that it's not. I had this, I have a couple of trigger words. Have to, need to, should are amongst them. And so the other day I said something, and my wife said, "Oh, you said have to." And I'm like, I didn't say that at all. That word did not come out of my mouth in this sentence. And yet that's what she heard. And had she not made that comment, then it wouldn't have been corrected. She would have walked away thinking, I didn't keep to my own standards. And so for me, I talk a lot when I'm coaching, well, I shouldn't say, I talk in my job of coaching and supporting other people. And I do love being on podcasts. And outside of that, I'm pretty quiet.
Yeah, it's interesting the difference between what you say and what people hear, because they're hearing through their own filters. Yeah, it's fascinating. That's why I like to ask just clarifying questions. Sometimes, depending on the type, especially if it's a serious conversation, I'll say, "What did you hear me say?" And then so I can understand what they heard. Yeah.
The I guess the funny for me is people think that asking a yes or no question at the end covers it all. Any questions, anybody? Did everybody understand that? Right. And then we're like, yeah. And so then we think, okay, thumbs up. Everybody understood me. And really all that's happening is everyone is saying the things that I heard in my head made sense to me. Had nothing to do with what you said at all.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Yeah, the power of the no questions, right? Versus open-ended.
Yeah. And I think it's important to kind of, as Yosi had said, is important. What I do in my line of work is, does that make sense? What are some of the takeaways? And then what I will do is I will follow up within 24 to 48 hours. If it was a connection, within a reasonable amount of time, I will provide a reflective email or a reflective text. This is what we covered. Can you make sure if this is what you understood, if you have any questions or whatever that. So that way, not only are you, like Yosi said, accepting that, nodding their head and listening is all taken in, or they're just smiling and like, I have no idea what just happened. Or sometimes what I find myself doing, if I'm on a podcast or something, I'm like, wow, I did say that, or wow, I did, as David had mentioned earlier, pretty sharp what I had said there, and sometimes we have to understand, not only is the message for our audience, but sometimes on the playback, the message is for ourselves, what we need to hear at a certain point down the road.
Right, very good. Very insightful. Andrea, I agree with you and Yosi too. It's actually a very interesting topic in that I have to triangulate. A lot of times what'll happen is somebody will say something. And in my head, Yosi, I'm thinking, I got it. I got it. But only to find out I didn't get it. So I'll give you a quick example. My wife says to me she says, it's Friday. I go, yeah, it's Friday. What she means by that is garbage is tomorrow. Right.
That's the first thing I thought when you said that.
And it's like, okay, yeah. And I'll acknowledge, yeah, it's garbage tomorrow. What she's also saying is get up and get it out now.
Take the garbage out.
Because I'm thinking I got till tomorrow. So I triangulate when I talk to clients or I talk to friends, and I ask at least 2 more questions, Nikki, just so that I can get zeroed in and, oh, that's what you meant. So a lot of times I'll ask more clarifying questions, Yeah, you're exactly right, in doing that, hoping not to sound like a dopey guy, but it's just okay, what do you really mean by that statement?
Right.
It's better be clarified than misunderstood or interpreted the wrong way. Dopey is okay, but if you make a mistake and you interpret it a completely different way, that's not good either.
And important decisions are being made based on that.
Right.
And so when they finally come through, it's like, well, no, that's not what I said. Well, Dave, that's exactly what you said. Yeah, let's clarify and let's even repeat back. Sometimes when I have conversations with people and we have totally opposing viewpoints, I'll say, here's what I'd like to do is I'm going to explain to you your position better than you can. Right? Now, can you explain my position better than I can? And a lot of times they can't because they haven't been listening. right? And a lot of times, but it's important that I can validate them and say, listen, I get where you're coming from. I don't agree with it, but I totally get it. I respect it, totally get it. So sometimes saying to somebody, now tell me what you heard from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. The neuroscience of this is really kind of makes it really challenging. So once we have a thought in our head, a picture of what we think the other person is saying or meaning, then we kind of get locked in. And our brain doesn't know how to look for what it doesn't know to look for. And therefore, what it looks for is what it thinks to look for. And so, Andrea, as I hear you with your example of follow-up email, I laugh because the potential is that if they misunderstood you the first time, they're going to misunderstand you in writing too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're only looking to validate what they already heard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only where in real life or in, face to face where we can ask those validating questions. I love what you said, Dave, which is right. I'm going to tell you what you said better than what you said. The question is, right, can you do the same? And first of all, I wonder if you were to warn them ahead of time that you're going to do that, what would change, right? If we know what to listen for, we actually are better about it. It's when we don't know what to listen for that we can get anything.
Yeah.
And one of the key components too is understanding, to your point, Yosi and Dave, Nikki, is that not only in the environment, but the role that the person is in. Because as Dave, you had mentioned, you don't want to sound dopey. Well, if you're in an interview and they're providing information, you're aiming, you already have, as Yosi said, this vision of obtaining the job, you're qualified in all the check boxes. And then the interviewer says, and this is something I've learned, is you have to interview the interviewer. Well, what is the reason for the position being well open? What is the reason for the turnover? What is the reason? What are you looking for? That way, it's a symbiotic conversation. And one of the key components, Nikki, is that when people have conversations, 3 things I learned traveling this globe virtually is respected, understood, and loved. And if you act with attention and intention in every relationship and conversation, and you have that, does that make sense? And that nurturance component, regardless of professionalism, you're speaking to the heart of a person and not to their role. Because sometimes, as you said, David, that approach to some people who are heart-centered can be like, okay, well, now you're just going to take it like, well, I'm going to tell you because I have that skill set, and they can take it as being some kind of intimidating. Whereas, you know what? I'm a good listener. I feel effective communication is key, effective listening as well. So what I love for us to do is to have a conversation, but at the same time, if there's anything, please pause me in that moment, because sometimes of our attention span, we'll forget by the end of the conversation. I wanted to say something there. Just say, can you clarify, or does that make sense to you? And the initial speaker have that pause moment for a breath, because sometimes we get so excited, we want to say so much, and then we are not mindful of the recipient, of how their attention is, where their heart is, or if that person reminds them of someone who's done them wrong or someone who's empowered them.
Yeah. So I want to do a test with you guys.
Okay.
I'm going to say one word, and I'd like you to tell me what you picture in your head. Okay? Don't try not to be influenced by what the other person says. Okay? So, Nikki, we'll start with you. All right? I'm going to say the word, what you picture in your head. Dog.
I see my parents' dog and my brother's dog, Mia and Rue.
What do they look like?
Mia is a little white Bichon poodle mix, and Rue is a shepherd lab mix, long black flowy hair.
So shepherd, long black flowy hair, and a little white poodle. David, what did you picture?
Well, I immediately thought about my favorite dog, which was a Newfoundland. And his name was Bruno, and he had long black hair, and he was the most kind and generous animal I've ever had.
All right. Andrea.
Loyalty. Man's best friend, human's best friend. Someone who's there, who's excited to see you regardless, 2 seconds, 2 hours, 2 days, what have you.
So this is wild, right? 4 of us on the call, but I asked the question, and none of you pictured the same thing. Simple word we use daily, regularly, and the imagery, the feelings, the thoughts. Andrea is one with loyalty. And part of our challenge about our voice is the recognition that none of our words, even the simple, common, or maybe even more so the simple, common ones, don't mean the same thing to each of us.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and notice the Yosi, how I went to a reference point from my current life. I went to the 2 dogs that I see regularly.
Right.
Yeah. So even when we're listening to other people, we're listening through our experiences, our memories, our beliefs, our identity, all of that. So it's going to get filtered and watered down. And likely what you're saying, people are hearing lots of other things.
So you're the first person that I have been connected virtually, and I'm sure others do this, but I do the same thing. But I do that with roles in the world. I'll say the same thing. I'll say, 3 people. And so if we have time, Nikki, I would love to do this exercise as well.
Sure.
This is awesome. So I would say the first one would be a sanitation worker. The second role would be a lawyer. The third role would be someone of homelessness. So Nikki, I'll start with you.
Okay.
So the first one is sanitation worker.
You're asking me, what am I picturing in my mind?
Yes. What are your thoughts?
I'm seeing when the garbage truck goes by in front of my window and I hear the loud noise that it makes. That's the first.
Okay, the brakes. Yes.
First
Okay.
thought that popped into my head.
David, you, the sanitation worker.
I see the man or woman wearing one of those bright jackets. You know what I mean?
Yes, the lime green fluorescent.
Yes,
colors.
right,
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yosi, I see you next.
Yeah. So it's funny. Yeah, I love this. Andrea. I'm definitely stealing this one.
I'm gonna borrow yours, so I'll credit you. No worries.
Oh yeah, good. So yeah, I picture the guys that come down my block 3 times a week, and they're guys. I've never seen a woman on the crew, and it happens to be that these guys are short. I'm about 6'1", so they're both shorter than me. They're very friendly, and so that's what I picture is like a real frame of reference media point.
Okay. Second one, we're going to go reverse. So the second one is a lawyer. Yosi, first thought comes to your mind, a lawyer.
Yeah. So I really like Blue Bloods, the TV show.
Okay.
And so I see Erin, whatever, I can't remember the last name, scary enough of that family, but she's what comes to mind when I think of a lawyer. That's the first picture.
Okay. David?
So I used to be a divorce mediator. And one of the things I had to do was work with all types of lawyers. So when you said that, I saw the good and I saw the bad in my head. In other words, those that are not, and they lack the character, and those that are very professional and they really care about people. So
excellent. Nikki?
My very first thought was 2 clients that I have, one who is a lawyer and one who formerly was a lawyer. But then my mind was influenced when I was listening to Yosi talking, and I started thinking of some of those shows like Blue Bloods and where they have the lawyers.
NYPD, Law and Order, and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Isn't it funny how we influence each other, like just even unintentionally?
Yes. So this one I'm going to make quick. I'm going to say you have 3 seconds to answer just one description. So the last one, homelessness. Nikki, what are your thoughts?
I see one thought. New York train station, walking off and feeling nervous, seeing some homeless people there.
Okay. David, 3 seconds. Homelessness. 1.
I see good people.
2, 3. Excellent. Yosi, same question.
Just deep sadness.
Okay. 1,
Deep
2,
sadness.
3. All right. Now, all of you, no disrespect, has judged those roles. Who says that homeless person couldn't have just lost everything in a flood? All prayers to those experiencing the torrential and world life events, the natural disasters. Or you can look at someone homeless as they're just fearful. They're not making anything of their lives. They're just, existing and living off of whatever they can scrounge. They're beggars and needers. Second, lawyer, we can look at that as someone who's fighting for us, who's advocating for us. Or we can look at the other side of the coin of someone who's really just kind of, how much can I get out of this? How can I swindle the case? How can I make the adjustments? And then we look at sanitation worker. Oh, they're worthy. They're smelly. They're just, they're just working 3 hours a day. Who cares? But they're making lots of money. How dare they? To the other side of the coin, as this person, they may not have a degree. Why? Because maybe their parents weren't around. Maybe they didn't have the financial stability to stay in school. Maybe they were in a rough neighborhood, but they still making the grade to become a sanitation worker. So we have to be mindful of our words, mindful of our thoughts, and mindful of our external and internal influences.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. I loved it. Love it. Love it.
2 fun exercises. I love that. Thank you. And
Yeah, go ahead, Nikki.
No, I was going to say, I was encouraging the audience who's ever listening to share your thoughts in the chat, the first thoughts that came to you when you heard those words as well.
Andrea, I wonder the term of judgment versus assessment. I don't think our brains know how to not assess.
Right.
And I do think that if we're not mindful, we could go to judgment. And anthropologically, the oldest part of our brain is tuned to fight and flight and safety. And I don't know, like I have really tried. I have gone to so much therapy to try and figure out how to unwire that, and I haven't yet. So I do understand that it seems for many or anybody I've met that there is that hard wiring. First, we look at assessing safety, and then then the higher level thoughts can happen. And I think the space of judgment is when I take that initial assessment and I make it real in my mind without doing any check. Right. Like I can't stop somebody from any of us. I don't know if we can stop our initial emotional reaction to something. But but the space of power is finding a pause between that initial thought reaction and then what we do with it. And to me, that's the courage and the character.
Right. And I think that's important, Yosi, because as we evolve, when you hit that height of transformation and growth, if you will, pain to purpose is what I talk about it. And I talk about going from victim to victorious. I was abused and bullied. And so I came to America from Colombia. And I was during the cartel, 11 pounds, 11 months old. And so I came into like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood of an American family, unconditional love. And in the 4 walls, I was raised to love everyone, to give them grace, to give them, support. I stepped outside of my 4 walls. And the first thing was because I didn't look like my parents, I was, the only olive complexion Latina in my community. And they said, well, you don't look like your parents. I said, no, you know what? It was great. I was a gift. I was adopted. I came to America. I had a second chance at life. Don't have photographs or any knowledge of my biological parents. And Yosi, this is what was said. If you don't look like your parents and your parents gave you up, how are you going to ever love? And that struck a chord with me and carried me through a victim and vengeful mentality all through my life up until young adulthood, until I was able to change my channel and realize that shoved into lockers, thrown into trash cans, failing at everything in school, like Nikki said in the top of the hour, fearing to ask a question, being judged. I'm already ridiculed. And then in the workplace, being the minority, and how can they have intellect and so forth. And then now I've not faced my past, so my past continues to chase me, and then go to the other side of the coin. I have a choice. I have a chance. As my mentor, coach, kindred spirit, and friend Les Brown says, other people's opinion doesn't have to become your reality. And so you can take that initiative, Yosi, to take that assessment, which we think is innocent, but it's really wired from our programming, from our external and internal factors, and say, wait a minute, I don't have to judge. I can make an informed decision. And through every experience and milestone, I can shift my morals, ethics, and values to who I am and carve out who I don't want to be.
Yes.
Love it. Love it, Andrea. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And all of that wisdom comes with awareness. Like, we have to have this awareness. Even at the 2 exercises that you both took us through, I have more of awareness now. What we gave as those answers, picture the dog, the lawyer, the sanitation worker, those were just go-tos or defaults. But you can bet now that I have this awareness, I can intentionally pick something different so that I don't go to that.
Right. And that's what David talked about at the top of the hour. We're not here to conform. We respect people for where they are, meet them where they're at. We're here to inform, empower, and educate. There's more opportunities, perspectives out there. It's just what resonates with you. And as Yosi said, being authentic and integral about it. That, yes, this is what I believe. This is not the external influences. I've unplugged since 2015. So anything that I put in my mind, body, spirit, soul, or what have you, is of my own choosing. Because that has heightened, as you said, Nikki, my empathy to the world to be more sensitive, more aware, and more awake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was just interesting comment in the chat from Coach Glow Pavot. Those that matter don't judge, and those that judge don't matter.
Wow.
Yes. Thank you.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do love that. And that also makes me think of the saying, perception is projection. So when someone shares what they are perceiving, it's coming from within them. So it's actually more telling of the person than you.
Right.
Always. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's an impossible thing unless we meet a real mind reader, not somebody who says there, but truly a mind reader who really can get and understand your raw thoughts. Then we are the only thing available to us is all of the things we've been talking about, with those starting experiences, and all of those experiences are the culmination of our subjective filters today. And so our beliefs, our values, our rules, our ideas, our ideals, our cultural influences, all of that. And it's the gift of talking to the 3 of you is that I don't know how to see my filters on my own. Just like I can't see if there's dirt on my nose without a mirror or something of that nature. And so the gift really of these types of conversations, of coming together for exploration, is hopefully that I can get some insight into what are some of those filters that I'm unaware of, that are playing a role, that are informing my assessments, right? That then lead and all of that. Because otherwise I walk around thinking, like, I don't remember one of you said in the beginning, right, that my world is your world. And it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny, Yosi. You're like, we're on the same wavelength, because I just did a webinar about, we're all emotionally and frequency beings. We can either deflect or reflect the energies that come upon us. And what's important to be mindful of that is that, we are not mind readers. And that's really amazing, because our mind comes with emotion. And our emotions can either be our masters or our messengers. And when we tap into that and say, well, is this, I stubbed my toe, I spilled my coffee today, I'm running late, everybody, it's just going to be Tasmania devil. Everybody's just going to be in my way. Or, yeah, I spilled my coffee. Yeah, I'm running late. But then you realize the reason why you're running late is because for those faith-based people, there's a reason. Coincidence are God's way of being anonymous. And so what you can do is having that effective communication and the mindset of, that people understanding the root cause of where they're coming from, as Nikki had mentioned, and not allowing them to conform, as David had mentioned, parallels with Yosi, that unless we ask and unless we have the grace and permission and courage, if you will, to say, this is what I'm represent. This is what I'm about. Is that how I'm coming across? And sure, you may have, as we did the exercises, those people pleasers. Yes, Andrea, absolutely. Those are your friends, your loved ones. They don't want to see you upset. But be bold enough and brave enough to ask someone in outside your circle that you've never met or on a public platform, how did I come across? I welcome the feedback. That's what the benefit is, asking for feedback, because we are our own worst critic in our minds. And if we don't have the courage to ask others how we are doing and be courageous enough to accept that critique and that assessment, we don't have to take it personally. Don Miguel Ruiz says in the 4 Agreements, be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Don't judge others, and do your best. And so that's what we have to muster up. Social media and society has put us in checked boxes. And we're always looking for that approval. How many likes do I have? But what do we immediately focus on? That one dislike. That one person. I don't have 100. I've got 99. Well, what about the 99 are supporting you? Follow your heart, not the herd nor the hurt, for success is on the other side, is what I truly believe. Any adversity you've gone through gives you the permission and certification to help others overcome and achieve it too. And with the right, proper mindset, effective communication and listening, that is when we are at our greatest, better together.
Yeah. Look for the opportunity to learn what you can learn from any adversity or challenge. Right. David, you were going to say?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm with 3 wizards here, because are we asking too much of human beings? Because the reason I say that is because I notice that we look for things that validate who we are. It's okay, right? I'm okay because that group said that, and I believe that. And yet the quandary for me is to say, well, is that who you really are, Dave? You're agreeing to it because maybe you're being lazy, and that you're saying, oh, finally someone who's just like me, who has my feelings, my geopolitical, etc., all the way on. But on the other hand, I hear what you're saying, all 3 of you, and especially Nikki, because she really talks about a lot about mindset and getting those things together. That is it too much to ask for a human being on a day-to-day? Andrea, you're talking about the coffee spills, this, that. It's busy, isn't it, in our life? So to go ahead, and it's easy to jump on board with Yoshi says something and I'm agreeing with it. I'm going, oh, that's me. Oh, I'm there. So my question really to the group is, especially the 3 of you, is that why do we want to raise ourselves when it's so much easier to go through life and just saying, this is fine, I believe this, and that's my group, that's my tribe?
David, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay. That could be
Okay.
me, right? I'll
So
triangulate.
easier to go through life in just being uncurious, just walking in your own space.
Sometimes what you say, Yoshi, could resonate with somebody. Other times it doesn't, right?
Right.
So the one that it doesn't may resonate with something that Andrea said.
Right.
Okay. Because they say, I like that. My question to you is then, why should they think a little higher, another level, to think the way you think, or at least to try to understand what you're saying? Why?
I don't think that they should.
Okay.
Meaning, people tend to come to me when they're looking for something. If we're not looking for something, people don't tend to come. I don't actually, I really don't love the word should, because I don't know. I am not smart enough, wise enough to know what's the should, what's the right, what's the wrong. My grandfather of blessed memory raised me with a concept that truth is an area and not a point. Lots of truths, lots of opposing truths. They can all coexist. It doesn't mean that I have to be, for me to be right, you have to be wrong. No, you can be right. I can be right. We can be opposing. And so I don't think that there is a right. What I've been trying to figure out is I raise my kids with one value statement. And I question now as I get older whether or not it's meaningful enough. And that value statement was do no intentional harm. I know I'm going to do unintentional harm, walking on grass, ants, but all the time I am doing things that are probably unintentionally harmful in some fashion or way. I recognize, having traveled the world, that my value system, my moral system is not universal. So what makes mine right? My hope is that the people who come to us, talk to us, listen to these podcasts are the people that are looking to expand their thought base, to get new information. I think that the people who are very comfortable in their space, they're very comfortable in their space. And I am almost jealous of that.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's why it's like all of us said, even Coach Glow, who commented, that it's great that we're having these conversations because this brings awareness. It's like we can't change what we're not aware of. If I'm out to eat and I'm talking and smiling and I have a piece of lettuce in my teeth and I don't know it, I can't remove it. Right? So by even having this conversation, people can now, if they're interested, they have to be on board with this, like maybe want to lean in and become curious and start asking clarifying questions like we were saying. Or what if we gave everybody an experiment to do, if you want to do this, and for today, or even just for your next conversation, listen to the words the person is saying to you and assign no meaning to it. Leave your stories out, your past reference points, your beliefs. Like when David's wife said, it's Friday, my first thought was, is she trying to tell him take out the garbage? That was an assumption based on my past and seeing my dad take out the garbage, right? What if the next time she says it's Friday, you responded, it is Friday. And then just pause because you're not making any assumption, or ask her, yes, and
Yeah.
And I like that, Nikki, to kind of not have our brains, as Yosi had said before, analyzing all the time, analyzing, processing, assessing. We're working hard. Do you understand how hard? I would just love to be simple, like when I was a long time ago. Now everything is under a microscope. Everything is, watching and everything of that nature, as we talked off screen about, the lack of privacy these days. But I want to bring it to a point of what David had said about what if what if we had the ability, and I want to kind of be mindful of words, hope, as Yosi had said, sometimes try, as David had said, sometimes those are kind of wish words. I believe, I'm going to, I will, I am, are more confident. And so to the point of what David had said, what if? For those on this side who are analyzing and processing and within this discussion and who are tuned in by choice and chance, took things, just keeping it simple. Don't make things more simple, more complicated than they are simple. As opposed to then for the others, expand your mind. Just expand, just open it. You don't have to, you don't should. There's no right or wrong. And I love what Yosi had said that, what we may think, I talk about people being symbiotic. My areas of improvement may be Yosi's strengths. Yosi's experience may be Nikki's losses. David's lessons may be something that I can learn. As I believe Coach Close had said, be teachable, learn. Mm-hmm. Two things come to mind. Socrates says, all I know is I know nothing. Very powerful statement. And then I learned a couple of months at a wedding, maybe now a year. Again, time is not of the essence of me anymore. We were at a social wedding, and I was having this conversation with someone and said, and it was just so powerful. And they said, I teach my children, as Yosi was saying, I teach my children to keep this in mind. And you guys can take it with a grain, however you interpret it. But to me, it was so powerful. It was just know that you're no better than anyone. No one's better than you, but you're the best and always going to show up. And I was just like, wow, you're no better than anyone else. No one's better than you, but you're the best version of you. That you're going to show up. I messed that up, Yosi. So I see. I was like, that didn't come out right.
Now I got it.
So I had to
repeat it. I was waiting for the last part there.
So that's what it is that, we don't have to compete all the time with people. Mm-hmm. Just be a better version than you were yesterday.
Yes.
Just be the best version and show up. I always show up. I never give up.
Yes.
That no one's better than you. You're no better than anyone, but you're the best version that you show up to be every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, people's opinions, it's none of your business, right? Just focus on you and how you can show up better. And on that note, I'm going to play this quick commercial.
Okay.
You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today.
All right. And we're going to have to continue this conversation another time because we are at that time. And I know we can talk for another couple of hours. So I'm going to ask that you each take 45 seconds to share anything you'd like about yourself, your business, and how people can get in touch with you. I'll start with Yosi.
Thank you, Nikki. So the best place, as you've been putting it on the screen, is my LinkedIn profile right now. And there's a button on there where you can book a free 30-minute conversation for any reason. And what I would really invite is what you already put out there, which is see if you can experiment today with a little bit more of the unknown. What if I don't understand what the other person is saying or meaning? What's available to me then? So Nikki, thank you. David, thank you. Andrea, fantastic meeting you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Yosi. Andrea, you're up next.
Yes, absolutely. So I can be found here, AndreaMasons.com. Somebody took my name, so I had to add an S, which is awesome because it means, super essential. So I am on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn as well. And I welcome the opportunity. I do have an online course, Resilient and Rising, and so much more. And I welcome your discovery call to learn where you are, because I don't dictate, I don't lecture, I meet you where you're at and empower, encourage you to press play on life, plan life according to you. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you so much, David. Yosi, you're not going anywhere because I'm going to connect with you afterwards.
I love that. Thank you, Andrea. And David.
Well, this has always been fun. I really appreciate it, Nikki. And I really think that the world of you. I think that the things that you've done for people is amazing. I'm a marketing manager, and what I do is I assist my clients to get in front of the right audience, whether it's directly or online or offline. My job is to make sure that we hit all the benchmarks on the way, get them some speaking engagements, and actually help them craft their message and getting it to other people. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And I'm Nikki Gangemi, and you can get in touch with me at my website, nikkigangemi.com, helping high achievers to quiet the mental noise so they can get clear on what they want and have the confidence to take action on things they've been putting off for years. And I'd love to invite you to my Reset Lab for High Achievers coming up next Thursday, the 24th. It's all about reclaiming time and energy without the guilt. And I'll put the link in the chat. I want to thank you all for being here and all you've contributed, and our audience who contributed to the conversation. The recording will just be here for you to watch and still engage, because we'd love to continue the conversation. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And please come back again.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.